Hello there Hollows, and welcome to another video. So in this video I'm going to be talking about how insanely Armored Core managed to somehow capture the spirit of the Souls franchise in its mech-based gameplay. Now, I never thought I'd be making this video, honestly, because if you've been following this channel for a bit, you know that I honestly did not think Armored Core was going to manage to captivate me and capture my attention, but somehow it did, and I am here making this video, and I'm now going to be making more Armored Core related content on this channel because honestly, this game is fantastic, and I did not think I would be saying that at all, but I am. And Armored Core somehow managed to capture the spirit of a Souls game. And the thing is, before Armored Core came out, they said they were going to be using the things they'd learned from their recent Souls games and implementing those kind of things into Armored Core. So they're taking the things they learned and putting them into Armored Core. And realistically, I didn't trust them, but I should have known better than that. I should have known better to not trust FromSoftware when they say something like that. And they definitely did. And in my opinion, I haven't played the previous Armored Core games, so I cannot really comment on how much has really been changed from a traditional Armored Core styled game to overhaul it and make the combat feel more smooth, fluid, and things like that. I haven't played any of the other Armored Core games. However, I genuinely feel like there's a lot more. I've seen a lot of gameplay of the other Armored Core games, okay? So I've been building up to Armored Core 6. I was looking at some of the gameplay, trying to sort of, warm myself up to it and seeing if I could manage to get myself interested enough to maybe try one of those older games beforehand. But I never really was because it just didn't look as enticing as this new Armored Core 6 is. It's got those fantastic things that I really like about the Souls franchise in it. And it manages to do it in this kind of mission structure, which yesterday, when I was only a couple of hours in, I was saying I was concerned about that, and that was one of the main things I was concerned about. But actually, I feel the opposite now. I kind of like this mission-based structure because also you don't always know what you're going to get with these different missions. They're almost like bite-sized little levels, and they are varied enough to keep the game feeling fresh, even though some of the atmospheres and environments do look a little bit samey, and you do have that kind of grey textures across everything, but it's not getting repetitive for me. There's just enough variety in the enemies and the different tanks and things that you're fighting, or mechs, and you got the tripod ones, and you got the bipedal ones, and the ones on wheels, and all this kind of stuff, and you got the big bosses. There's enough there to keep it feeling varied all the time. And they're just these little bite-sized missions, and you don't always get a boss fight in each one, but you always get a different kind of experience, and I like that. It does keep me on my toes. I'm not sure whether I'm going to get a boss in this one, whether I'm just going to get some more tough enemies, whether it's going to be a bit more of an easier one, but either way, you're still earning experience, and you're still, well, not experience, sorry, you're earning money, which you can then use to upgrade your character or your mech, to keep building that and to improve it constantly. And I also like their customization, because you can constantly change it up all the time. That's not something you can do in Dark Souls. Once you build your character, you're stuck with that for the rest of the game, unless you use cheats and things. But here, I'm not stuck. I can change the customization of a character all the time. I can keep changing it and change it. I can even save my favorite presets and then change back to them and all this kind of stuff. I can change the colors, change the different parts. There's loads of customization for the mech, which I really like. I'm not really one for that kind of mech sci-fi kind of stuff, but I like having the option there to customize it as much as I want. And you can then share your different designs with people online. You can create emblems and share those with people online. That kind of thing I never thought I'd see in a FromSoftware game, but it's here, and it's really cool as well. Now, getting into the more Souls-like mechanics, the main thing that I really do think has somehow been translated successfully is a stamina system without a stamina system, if you understand what I mean. This game doesn't have a stamina system, however, I feel like the cooldowns on all the different attacks combined with the almost boost meter which you have to be able to dash and stay in the air that combination of all those different things you have to keep track of, that micromanagement that you have to do there, is like a stamina system in a way, where I'd say it actually is a stamina system. It really is, and I really like that, and that's something that Sekiro didn't have, which I personally felt like hindered my experience with that game, because to me anyway, I just didn't quite enjoy that combat system, because it didn't have that kind of management that you have to do, which you do have to do in Armored Core, and you also have to do in Dark Souls, because every single attack that you do in Armored Core, so if you use your right, like your right arm attack, you can use that for a period, and then you have to wait for a cooldown. But then because of that cooldown, then you can move on to maybe your right back attack, or your left back attack, or your left arm attack. And all of those ones have different things, the different functions that you can assign to them, all which will then have cooldowns. And the combination of all of these different cooldowns, combined with your dash and boost cooldown that you have if you're in the air for too long, means that all of this together is you are still essentially micromanaging your different attacks and making sure you don't overcommit to anything, or you don't use one thing too often, because you don't want to have to wait for that massive cooldown. Now, the only thing that I do actually have a genuine negative with, in my personal opinion, is the way in which you have to manually reload. So to manually reload, you have to hold down Y and then press the corresponding arm or back function that you have. Now, it just feels really clunky, to be honest. The reloading specifically feels really clunky. Nothing else feels clunky. The movement of your character is really intuitive, and flying and everything all controls really well. But it's just that, because I obviously am playing on a controller. I don't know about mouse and keyboard, but usually with FromSoftware games, that's not the intended way of playing. So having to hold down Y and right trigger, to me, or right bumper, or whatever it is, it takes a while, and you can't just do it. So you can't just shoot and then press it quickly to try and reload. There's that delay. You can't just press it straight away. It almost feels like Dark Souls 2 with that kind of input delay. So if I just shoot and then press Y and right trigger straight away to reload, it doesn't reload. I have to wait about half a second and then press it, and then it will reload. That delay really needs to be sorted out, in my opinion, because in a game that's as insanely fast-paced as Armored Core 6 is, you can't be having something like that. That delay really slows things down, especially when you've got to try and control loads of different things all at once. You're watching all these different attacks happening. You might need to boost. You might need to try and dodge quickly to get away from there. So my fingers are already doing loads of different things. I might be clicking down the left stick and then quickly dodging whilst pressing X and all that kind of stuff. So I can't really be expected to have to wait that half a second to then press Y and right trigger, because of that weird delay which is present for some reason when I have to potentially try and watch out for all these attacks and dodge and move and maneuver myself all around this kind of stuff. So that's the only thing I have an issue with. A lot of the time I just find myself waiting for that function to run out, so I just keep pressing right trigger again and again and again until it runs out, and then it reloads automatically. And I find that seems to be much more responsive than having to do it manually, because manually it just doesn't seem to be working really. Now, the one other thing which I would actually like you lot to let me know down in the comments below: does this game have iframes? Please let me know. I have not been able to figure it out currently. I genuinely haven't been able to figure out if you have iframes when you're dodging in this game. I haven't been able to figure it out, because it'd be great to know, honestly, because yeah, I just don't know currently. I've been dodging around attacks and things, and generally I feel like I've been avoiding them. I haven't really run into a situation where my character has dodged through an attack and not taken damage. So yeah, let me know that down below. Anyway, yeah, so the stamina management system is very much, I feel like it's been adopted from Dark Souls in a way. I don't know whether that was present in the old Armored Core game, so please let me know. But I really like that. As well as just the fluidity of the movement and all that is very, very good. Very responsive controls, which is awesome. There's loads of different character variety, and somehow still the world and story, even though it's more direct in this game, still feels dark and dull and depressing. which I kind of like. And in a really weird way, I could see a world where Armored Core is just the future of Dark Souls. They're still I know that obviously the story is they're not connected at all in any way at all. But I could still see it in a weird way. It's like, it's got that same dark tone, that gritty atmosphere. Everything's grey, and they're talking about cinders burning. It's like, yes, this is still Dark Souls. Anyway, that's just me being weird. But the focus on boss fights as well, I really appreciate. There's a lot more boss fights, I think, than in the older Armored Core games. I like them. They're really creative. There's some awesome designs. It's very difficult. The boss fights I found are difficult, and then the missions are pretty easy, which is quite strange and a bit weird. It's a bit, I would say that's a bit of a, again, if I was going to have any criticisms for this game, that probably would be another one. Just that there seems to be a big, massive gap there where the levels I honestly find really easy. I'm getting through them all first go. The times I die is usually very, very low. But then I get to a boss fight and it's insanely difficult. It's like, Jesus. The amount of things I'm having to do and it gets crazy. It really does. And I like that, though. I like boss fights being really challenging because FromSoftware do some fantastic boss fights. But I just think maybe the levels could be made a bit harder, or the bosses could be brought down. Well, I won't say the bosses should be brought down. The levels could be made a little bit harder, I think, potentially, because some of them are quite easy, except for usually the actual meg fights, where you're fighting another one that's on your level. Those are pretty cool. It makes me think multiplayer in this game might be pretty cool as well. Anyway, let me know again what you're thinking of Armored Core 6. The previous initial impressions video seemed to go under the radar. I don't know how. I thought that video was going to do well because the game's just come out. People would want to know what's happening, but the video seemed to not do very well. I'm hoping you all are giving Armored Core 6 a try. I highly would recommend it as a Dark Souls fan who enjoys all of FromSoftware's games now, it seems. Let me know, what you think, what you're thinking of Armored Core 6. Do you want to see more content on this channel? What kind of videos could we see for Armored Core 6? And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe share this video if it was good. Thank you again for watching. This is Soul signing out. Have a good one.